Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need.
Well, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Now we're surrounded by an extravaganza of parts, and our business educational partners, well, they stepped up to the plate, and the crown jewel's right here in this engine. I'm brought in Kevin from GPT Go Powertrain. Kevin, we got that old engine there. Really don't want to rebuild it. Maybe I want to put a new engine in. What should we do?
Well, it's definitely in today's environment with lack of new vehicles, it's more cost effective to replace your engine than replace your vehicle. So
yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's 20, 30 hours to rebuild one, and you really can't even find a good powertrain today. What makes GPT so good?
Well, GPT is, we've been around a long time. We're one of the nation's largest powertrain suppliers. We like to consider ourselves a one-stop shop because we have just about everything for the vehicle. With that being said, our OE supplier of this particular engine, the reason we like to use them is because they do a lot of updates, re-engineering of the original design flaws to correct those defects. Lots of things have changed since this 80 truck has been on the road. You know, we're a long time ago. So pistons are changed to maybe a hyper-eutectic. Plasma moly piston rings are used, nitrided valves. The rear main seal used to be a two-piece on this guy, now it's one. Just things like that to hopefully make this engine last just a little bit longer, or hopefully a lot longer than the original engine.
Yeah, well, I was excited at the get-go, but I'm even more excited now. So we sure appreciate you guys bringing in the engine. And we also appreciate Rock Auto. Let's check in with them and see what's going on.
Look at this studio filled with fabulous items for our Chevrolet K10. The truck's from 1984, Tom, and RockAuto.com has an amazing selection. We couldn't believe all the stuff we found for the K10. John and I thought we were going to have to go to find it, go on a treasure hunt to find the stuff we needed because the truck's so old. But that's not the case. How does Rock Auto do it?
Yeah, think about years ago. You spent a lifetime trying to find one window seal, and yeah, you go to our catalog. We joke someday you'll be able to build some of these popular vehicles, the K10, Chevy Camaro from scratch, but we're not quite there yet.
You're close. We were able to find a whole bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, you know, all the little detail pieces, the shift linkage parts that. The truck looks beautiful, but the window sills are leaking, the shift linkage is loose, it's not quite right. We have those little detail parts.
We know the window seals are one of the things that always go first, and you guys have that. It's probably something folks buy a lot. And then you look at something as obscure as a rivet from a window regulator, and RockAuto.com has that. And this is one that you kind of panic. You're missing the window crank, right, and you think you're going to have to go maybe to the junkyard and good luck finding one from 1984.
It'll be rusted out or broken. If yours is broken, theirs is broken also. So.
And the thing I love too, I mean, this is a dormant part. This is probably an upgrade from the original OEM part. And RockAuto.com doesn't have just universal parts, maybe a window crank from the era. This is the window crank you need for your Chevrolet K10.
Right, and impossible to find stuff, grills and seat upholstery, and it doesn't just cover the seat. It's like it is the original fabric.
Yeah, we're not talking the seat cover. It's the original fabric here, genuine velour from 1984 there, and the vinyl on the side,
yeah,
just like,
and the tools and
yeah, it even came with the hog rings and the tool to put those on when you're doing the upholstery as well. So RockAuto.com taking care of all your needs when it comes to just about everything you need for an automotive redo or an upgrade. They've got it. You can find them at RockAuto.com. And you can find John Gardner right over there doing a little garage ed.
Well, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in Garage Ed, and this week it's all about leak detection. Now, why do you want to check for leaks? Well, you should have joined us last week. We told you about the proper pressures in the system, and if you don't have those proper pressures in the system, well, you probably got a leak. So, Josh, we need to understand some methods for checking those leaks. Tell us about them.
Well, my favorite, and probably every technician's favorite, is actually using UV leak detection dye. So all you have to do is you put the dye into the system, charge up the system, let it run for a while, maybe send the customer, to dry for a couple of weeks, bring it back, then take a UV light and look around. And where you see the dye, that's where the leak is. But the problem with that is some manufacturers don't want you using dye. They're scared that maybe if it's coming out of the evaporator, it can get in the floor, stain the carpet, and then you have a mess. So a lot of times what you have to do is use an electronic leak detector. And what this does, it just sniffs around. And this is actually standardized to where if a leak is 0.05 ounces per year, it can detect it. So that's pretty crazy. You just go around the line, sniff around, beep, 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 beep. There's your leak.
Man, that's pretty good. Beep, 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 beep. That's exactly what it sounds like. And you guys, I'm old school, so you guys have to go ahead and vacuum the system down. Why would you want to vacuum the system down? Well, you're removing all that moisture. You're creating that vacuum Josh talked about in those early segments, and boil it off, and then boom, get the moisture out. If you don't, well, it could freeze up, cause problems, but even more, it's going to have some corrosion in the system. So I have a vacuum pump here. I can kind of demonstrate it for you. So this is a vacuum pump, and here's a vacuum gauge. I got it hooked up to it. So we're just going to pretend this is hooked up to the system, and when this is hooked up to the system, I'm going to fire up the vacuum pump. Now when I fire it up, watch this gauge right here. I should create a vacuum. So that's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to close this knob and isolate the pump. So I'll fire it up, and you see that drop down right there? Well, that's a good thing. It's creating a vacuum. So if I isolate the pump and I close this right here and shut the pump off, now we're checking for a leak. What do I mean by that? Well, it's sitting there. It's sitting there 5, 10, 20 minutes. It should never start to come back to normal. It should sit there in a vacuum. Now I can actually simulate. Watch this. I'm going to crack the hose here, and when I crack the hose, I'm going to try to wiggle it a little bit so it goes so fast. That's it. All right. So once I crack the hose, that's it. It went back there to 0. That's not a good thing. So you know you have a leak in the system. So you want to be able to hold vacuum. So with leak detection, man, you can keep your AC nice and cold and in tip-top shape. Well, we have one thing left to do, and that's finish up this show.
What an episode. We've learned how to diagnose AC problems thanks to John, and now we have a game plan for our Chevrolet pickup truck. John, how'd the connection fix go here on this truck?
We had a game plan here too as well, Dave, and we verified the customer's concern. We went ahead and repaired it. Now repairing it, make sure you use proper wire connections, solder, shrink wrap, do the job right. Now we have to verify that repair. So in order to do that, Benjamin, crank it up. So we saw it drop down. There it goes. It's picking up. It's picking up. It's picking up. It's picking up. Come on, 14. What do you see over there?
Good news. It's talking.
Man,
we're
it's
good to go.
talking. That's all we need to know. Good job, Benjamin. Well, man, this was a good one, but we got more good ones coming up, Dave.
There's a great one coming up next. You do not want to miss next week's episode of Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com. It is one for the ages. So until then, from our entire crew, we'll see you next time here at Tech Garage. So long.
Might be a flashback.
Production assistance provided by Chipola College in Marianna, Florida. Chipola was founded in 1947, and it was recently ranked among the top 3 community colleges in the United States.